Alright guys, stocks by the numbers, welcome back. Taking a quick look here at Mullen Automotive, ticker symbol MULN, listed here on the NASDAQ. Now this company, obviously EV stock that we looked at all the way back here, we're looking at the end of August of 2022, the end of September of 2022. And basically during that time frame, we even went to the company's website together, and it showed us that they were talking about not even becoming productive until basically right around this time. I believe it was even Q1 or potentially Q2 of 2024, if memory serves correct. But either way, recently the company has been announcing it's starting to deliver a couple of EVs and is actually making money. So, unfortunately, again, I'm not really here to pat myself on the back, but again, it was basically simple logic and common sense I was looking at, right? You're telling me this company up here is worth, X hundreds of millions or 2-3 billion, but all they're doing is bleeding through millions of dollars in the meantime, basically just waiting this whole 12, 18, 24-month potential window into the future before they're even going to be up in production and actually making vehicles and making money. So that was basically my shtick there. And as we see again, I basically nailed this call. And of course it was on, for a couple of different reasons, as I mentioned. But again, I was basically saying that in my opinion, based on what I was seeing, based off of what the company itself told me. Again, there was no urgency, I felt, in my opinion, to step in, roll the dice just because it was trending, just because it was an EV stock. I saw no reason to step in and buy this company. And as we see, obviously, these prices now are out of control. The company, as you see, enacted 3 reverse stock splits just during the calendar year of 2023. I looked at it twice. Towards the second half of 2022 for you guys. And obviously you can see, based on the way the chart moved, and of course 3 reverse stock splits. Again, I just hope that anyone who is involved in this didn't go too heavy here back in the past. But long story short here, we go back to early May. You can see a 1 for 25 reverse stock split. About the middle of August, 1 for 9. And then as of late, about a week ago now, they did a 1 for 100 reverse stock split. They also announced again that they delivered some cargo vans here. You can see Randy Marion dealership, $1.68 million invoice. And there was also, where was the other delivery? Supposedly we're doing some battery pack testing here, so that could be a good little positive catalyst that comes out in the future. That could potentially give the stock a little momentum, so we'll see where they take that. Delivers 63 electric trucks worth almost $4 million. Was that? I feel like there was something else. No, maybe that was it. Yeah, because they're saying they recently hit the milestone of like 100 vehicles produced, right? And now they're slowly starting to deliver them. So, see, it says here, like, to date, 7.6 million. The problem is when you say something generalized like that, I mean, that can be, from within the last 5 years. They delivered $7.6 million worth of vehicles, right? So, I'm just really looking at this $4 million current delivery. And what was the other number? 1.68 million. Okay, so we're at what, like 5.68 million, we'll call it 5.65. And the problem is I'm not seeing any data here. And I was looking around again. If anyone has an idea for a potential for this earnings date, or also what the company may post, because as we see, I'm not seeing anything. And I just kind of looked around. I just Googled it, and it brings you to all these different sites, Nasdaq.com and CNN Money and all these Market Watch and all this. And I'm checking all of these sites, and I'm not seeing a date, which doesn't even concern me really. We're not seeing revenue estimates. So I have no idea, obviously when we get closer to the date, hopefully we're going to get a little bit more clarity here. But again, we added up those numbers, so what? We're at like 5.68 million. We can't even look at what was potentially supposed to be forecasted for this stock because it doesn't show us anything. But the market cap right now is 60 million. Somehow it has a beta of less than 1. I don't know how that's possible, but see, if we switch over here to the financials, look, see that we have nothing. We have nothing. Now, again, granted, I'm going off of what TradingView is showing us, and again, I'm not doing anything special or using any platform or website that like requires you guys to have a membership or something like that. This is just free to use. I'm just using TradingView, and again, other sites may have different information, but when I just looked it up and I was looking at all of these other investing websites, no one really had a definitive date. Some people were saying like around mid-January. This is saying mid-February, but also at the same time, even though we don't have a definitive date yet, again, there was literally no number there for the revenue or the EPS side. So as we get closer, only time is going to tell, really. But as we see since the split, the stock has been bouncing around, and it looks like it made these lower highs, I guess we could say, after this big explosion here. But it is also making lower lows. So that obviously is going to, if we drew our trend line along the bottom there and then kind of connected it down across the top there, we could potentially say that the stock right now kind of is in a symmetrical triangle. Which again, as we say, symmetrical triangle, obviously you guys, you could look it up. You could look up some of these patterns. You definitely should all know them, especially if you're doing a lot of short-term trading, because obviously a lot of people will say short-term trading is mostly tech analysis. And usually in the short term, the tech kind of trumps the fundamentals sometimes. So this is why, again, I try to look at both when we look at a stock. You guys see, we look at revenue, we look at profits, how's the operating margin, how are the assets, the liabilities, the book value, right? So we check a lot of the base fundamentals together, and then obviously I'll draw out some trend lines, and we'll see if we have any potential patterns forming. But right now, it does look like here, even if we go from the actual body of the candle, so you can see that we're inside of this triangle pattern here that it looks like. Again, that means we can either break higher or we can break lower. Now on paper we can say, well, now the company, the value's all the way down at 60 million, and now they're starting, they're picking up production, they're picking up delivery. They just delivered, what we say, like 4 or 5 million worth of cars, vehicles, we'll say, because they're vans and stuff also. So right, so we could say, well, now the company's undervalued in the numbers. And again, that is understandable. It looked like the debt didn't get too out of control. As we see, the debt was up to about 42 million back in 21, pulls back to sub 14 million here in 22. And if we check over the quarters, we can see it ballooned up to over 100 million and now pulled back. It's back down to about 13 million and change. In the short term, this bothers me that the liabilities are outweighing the assets, but overall assets are outweighing liabilities. And we can check that very quickly. Yeah, we don't have any revenue. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm curious to see. In my opinion, I would still be wait and see, because I understand that the company like now is actually producing and starting to deliver vehicles, which is awesome. But I'm just curious to see now, like the next 1, potentially 2 quarters, what the estimates are going to be, how they're going to stand up against the estimates. And again, I know they just recently brought in some cash. Now they're holding, a couple of million in cash or whatever, but at the same time, if you're bleeding like 40, 50, 60 million a quarter, then technically, if you raise like 200 million in cash in the short term, that's really only going to keep you afloat for the next 3 to 4 quarters. So now they have to really start rocking and rolling, and obviously we have to hope that nothing massively negative comes out here about the stock. But we can see that assets exploded here in about the last 18 months, jumping all the way up to over $500 million in assets, and of course liabilities chunked up to about 200 million as well. But company sitting here right here with a positive equity I don't think the book value per share is 300 a share, but also at the same time, we went through 3 reverse stock splits in like the last 6 months. So that's why I would, in my opinion, personally, I would be sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the dust to settle, the air to clear. Let's see, what some potential future numbers are. Do new orders continue to come in now that they're actually producing and delivering vehicles? Are more and more people going to call up Mullen Automotive now and say, "Oh, give me a dozen of these trucks," or give me 50 cars? So again, we kind of have to wait and see. And it's those multiple reverse stock splits that always scare the crap out of me. And that's what I mean. All of these numbers are thrown out of whack, massively negative across the board. Yeah, see, just from operating, you can see the increase in the losses just from operating alone. And again, look, they brought in that cash there to kind of keep them afloat, but also at the same time, like I said, if we're losing 40, 50 million a quarter, you're only buying yourself, really 6, 9, 12 months if you really think about it. If you really think about it. And again, for all we know, listen, they got these couple of orders. They just delivered, 5.5 million, 6 million worth of vehicles. For all we know, they may not get any orders after that. And that's what I'm saying. Again, I'm not trying to bash the company or bash the stock, but me personally, I like to see and wait for these companies to actually prove themselves, show me value, and then I can say, okay, it's undervalued. It might continue, it might start growing and doing more business over the next couple of quarters and years. So now I feel like I should buy it. But I mean, looking back here again, we looked at it and this is what I mean. This is what I mean. This is why people always want to talk about the hype and what the company could do and what the company's forecasting. Like, you guys have to understand. Remember, these guys, when they want to go public, they have to, to build up this whole prospectus, lay out this whole business plan and strategy. And, what do you think the strategy is going to be? Of course it's going to be, hey, listen, we're going to build this facility. We're going to start producing this product. Boom, everyone's going to love it. I'm expecting $200 million in the first year, $780 million in the second year, up to $1.8 billion the third year. Like, that's what gets people excited. That's where the hype comes in and everyone starts piling into the stock. But the problem is no one actually looks at the actual business and the numbers anymore. And now, anytime any company really has any success at all, it seems like they just instantly want to go public, instantly want to collect hundreds of millions and billions of free dollars, and, basically just deteriorate the stock over the years, and then, act like they're slowly making it up to you down the road. I mean, really, look at this. Remember, this thing was pumping before we even looked at it, right? Look at these huge spikes coming in here during 2020 and 2021 here. So that's what I mean. People were pumped about this. They were buying into the story. Oh, this is going to be a new EV stock. This is going to be the next Tesla, blah, blah, blah. All of you piled into all of these EV stocks, and we're seeing, again, that, like I said, like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 of them are just slowly dwindling away. Or it's a situation like this, where like 3, 4 years later now, the company is finally making money, but again, 3 reverse stock splits, and who knows what's to come. So, I don't know. Again, I said my piece. I mean, I'm sure some of you may be following the story more closely. Again, I was using a lot of simple logic and common sense just to look at the overall situation, and I came to my personal decision that there was just no urgency and we didn't need to buy it. So, of course, if you're following the company more closely, or you're expecting, more orders to come in, or where the company could be 6, 12 months from now, let us know down in the comments section. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and again, we all see different things, right? So, if you're expecting bigger and better things, let us know down in the comments section. I'm just upset because I remember all the way back then, before 3 reverse stock splits, a lot of people were upset in the comment section. Not because I wasn't hype on the stock, but because oh, I bought it at this price, it just keeps dropping, like, what should I do? Do we actually have value here? What should I just cut the losses and move on? Do I add to the position? Right? So that's what I mean. This is why I kind of feel bad, because this is what happens to the average investor, right? You get sucked in on a sweet story. The numbers aren't there. The whole time we could say it really wasn't worth your time, energy, or attention, and it's basically just deteriorating over the days, weeks, and months. And that's, believe me, I've been there, and I know it's really one of the worst feelings. But here on stock charts, again, reverse stock split. I mean, I don't even know how accurate this is right now, but we're maintaining inside the Bollinger Band ranges here. Random Steam friend, my apologies. But you can see that we recently bounced off this mid-Bollinger Band here. Stock currently sitting at 1430 and change. And the high was 1799. We have our 50-day moving average now adjusted at 1903. So this is why, again, we're kind of in, it looks like a rising channel, but also at the same time, like we do have that resistance kind of showing a potential symmetrical triangle. So we have to see how it climbs and rises, because it can easily just continue to slowly step up here, but it could reach something like the 50-day here at 19. But then again, because of the past performance and history of the stock, it could just have an immediate rejection and just start chunking all the way back down. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, in my opinion, I would definitely just wait and see here. RSI on the daily sitting at about 48 and a quarter. Probably because anyone who wanted to own the stock is already in, right? So that's why even on this news and these big up candles here, like, it really doesn't matter. If we look at something like this. Oh, it's crazy. Maybe it'll get back to that 200-day moving average of $104,000. But yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. Now it's all out of whack. Like that's why, like, in my opinion, something like this, even after the positive news about these deliveries, still, in my opinion, isn't really worth looking at. I mean, like, now, again, that they started production, now, in this moment, we can keep an eye on it, we could watch it. You understand the way I'm doing this here? So remember, like I always say, when you're buying shares of these stocks, you are literally becoming a part owner and investing into the actual business. And because you work your tail off for your dollars, and at the same time, they're really slowly losing their value, and it's getting harder, and you have to do more belt tightening around the house, more than likely, I'm guessing here. But for the most part, you should put your dollars where there's value, in my opinion, right? You should put your dollars into companies where they deserve it. And that's why, again, I look at brand name stocks, right? Because they built up their brand, they have a household name that a lot of people know, and that's why looking at something like a Campbell's or a Hershey, we can see having a nice day here, up over 1%, like that. That's what I mean. When we saw Hershey, like I said, looking at the chart, looking at the numbers, in my opinion, when I broke it down the way I do it, I looked at it 182, 180, right? It had that flash crash below that all-time support trend line that I mentioned. It dropped down to like 178. 60 or whatever the hell it was. That's what I mean. Looking at it there, it's like we could say, okay, there's a brand name stock that sold off. Now it's potentially fair valued, undervalued, and now we can just ride the wave and catch the rebound. A situation like this, you're just buying in, just hoping and praying that, all of a sudden it becomes the hottest vehicle on the market and everyone wants Mullen Automotive cars, and that's it. Now, it's making 10, 20 billion a quarter like Tesla. That's it. It's the next Tesla. They're all not going to react the same way as Tesla. And that was basically the message that I gave looking at all of these other EVs, including Mullen Automotive, Polestar, all the other ones we looked at. I don't know. I might have looked at NIO also. I don't know. XPeng. All of them. All of them. That's what I mean. Now there's just too many of them. There's just too many of them. And people want all of them to grow and explode and make billions, but also at the same time, these are the same people who probably have been holding shares of Tesla over the years. and they want to tout Tesla and, oh, Tesla, world brand name, and they're the number one in EV. Right. So you can't have the best of both worlds, right? You know what I mean? You can't own the conglomerate, but then expect all the little guys to also explode and become, massive multi-billion dollar brand name corporations in the space. But I don't know. That's just the way I'm looking at it. But I'm going to end it there. So once again, Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you like the video, thumbs up, helps out the algorithm, helps me get a couple more eyes on the channel, and of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and volatile and very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.